I'm not a Buddhist, but I can appreciate what they represent and what they advocate. Um, I came to class with one idea about Buddhism, and I knew that it wasn't correct because I didn't have the right information, and I knew it was full of stereotypes. And it wasn't a bad idea, it just wasn't correct. Um, but that's what I loved, being proved wrong in class, for the ideas that I had before about it, because it was something that I knew was wrong and I just wanted to learn more about it. So being proved wrong on pretty much everything was actually a really enjoyable experience, because I was able to see, where this idea came from, what it meant, how it related to so many other things that we talked about. And now I have such a genuine and good idea about what Buddhism represents. And if someone were to ask me, what I think about it, I would be able to hold a conversation and tell them, my ideas and what I learned. And even though, I don't know a lot about Buddhism, because that takes a lot of time to learn about, I do have a good idea about it now, I think. And one idea that we learned about was pain and suffering, and that's something that really resonated with me, because it's something that I could connect with on a personal level. When my grandfather passed away a few months ago, it's something that really just turned my life upside down and really just messed with me. But after I read about pain and suffering, I realized the distinction between both of them. I was feeling pain and causing myself to suffer. And now I feel like that you can feel pain, but you don't have to make yourself suffer through it, I guess. You don't have to make yourself suffer even more than what you're feeling from that pain. And if someone were to tell me that probably a few months ago, I would have not even understood, not really, pertaining to what had happened to me. I really wouldn't have been able to understand where they were coming from, or maybe I wouldn't even just think about it. But to look back at yourself and to think that you were actually the reason of your suffering, that you caused yourself to suffer, is a really weird realization. To just look back and picture yourself and remember what you were going through, and remember what had caused it, and remember what you did and where you were and what you were doing, and to remember and to know that you were the cause of, main cause of your suffering. Because, death isn't something that you can control, and I don't think you can really control how you feel about it. But I think you can control how you approach it, how you deal with it, and what you do with it in regards to suffering. Because I know now, looking back, I know I was causing myself to suffer, and that I could have gotten myself out of that rut that I kept digging myself deeper into. And I thought I felt empty, and I thought I felt lost. I did feel lost, but I thought I felt, all of that from, the pain, and it wasn't something that I could, I guess, get myself out of. And that just proves that I was making myself suffer even more by just not even attempting to really get out of it. And I was so just lost with it. I don't think I really even realized what I was doing to myself. And it wasn't good what I was doing to myself. But I think being able to realize the difference between the two, I don't think every person can always stop themselves from suffering, because you're only human. But I think as a start to realize the difference between the two, to kind of sit down and think, why am I in pain? Is it, obviously something big that happened, but why? What else is going on? What am I doing to myself to get myself out of it, or to even make it worse? What are you doing? What do you realize that you're doing to yourself? Are you causing yourself to suffer? Where is it coming from? Why are you doing it? But it's really interesting to look back and remember what you were doing and everything, and to know that you were causing yourself to suffer. But you know, that now that I read everything about in the book about pain and suffering, I'm able to view it, that whole situation, in a different light. And that's one thing that I really did gain from this class, is viewing things through a different light. Looking at a situation and having my own perspective at it. And I always look at situations from two perspectives, but to really kind of dig deeper into that other perspective, not the one that I favor, and to just view it in a whole different way, and try to understand it from that perspective. And it's something that I think you can use with yourself and with other people. But that's what I gained. It changed a lot of how I view things in everyday life. And even though this video didn't really have one key point to focus on, it really does represent everything that I really just got from the class, and it was really something that I hope to carry for the rest of my life, because those are really just important things that I got from the class. So even though I'm not a Buddhist, I really can have a deep appreciation for everything that they represent.